Good evening, everyone. Welcome to City Council Chambers. We will handle business in the following order. First, our public hearing. Second, our public comment session on non-agenda items only. And then we will move into our legislative agenda. So at this time, City Council calls the September 19th, 2023 public hearing to order. This hearing is being held to receive public testimony on the request for a residential parking permit area for Creston Road. In its recommendations to Council, the Traffic Safety Committee recommended denial of the request due to parking issues only affecting a small portion of one residential city block, the availability of off-street parking, and the lack of resident support. Before we get started, as a reminder, this is a public hearing to receive public testimony. This is not a debate session. If there is any discussion, it will take place before consideration of final passage, which will occur later on tonight's legislative agenda. Is there anyone from the Traffic Safety Committee available to give a brief explanation of the request and recommendations?
Yes, my name is Sergeant John Reisenweber, York City Police Department Traffic Safety, and I'm part of the Traffic Safety Committee. This is all based in York City Ordinance Article 516, which deals with residential parking permit areas. In that article, it lays out not only what the rules and procedures would be for enforcing it, but for how it would get started, how the request would be made, and how it would get managed. Part of that process is that if a group of neighbors in a neighborhood, like in the 300 block of Creston Road, wanted to try to pursue this, they could try to get a petition signed. As long as they had a majority of the residents sign the petition, they could send that to the traffic safety, which they did, and it was in consideration specifically of the 300 block of Creston Road. So we discussed it at the following Traffic Safety Committee meeting, and during that discussion, we decided that we wouldn't be able to just do this in the 300 block of Creston Road. If we did that, it would be considered spot zoning, which isn't something that we would be able to do. We expanded it. Instead of it just being that line of Creston Road, it was the surrounding streets. So Pine Street and Edgar Street, Peyton Road, and Rathton Road were included in it. The idea with that is if the issue is only really affecting Creston Road, or specifically one half of Creston Road, if we restricted Creston Road, the issue would just push out onto Pine Street. So if we include Pine Street, then it's not going to, us taking this action is not going to now create a problem on Pine Street. So we included all 5 of those roads. We scheduled and held a public hearing here in council chambers. 2 residents showed up. They both made comments, and even in those comments, they both agreed this is affecting one end of Creston Road up by Pine Street. It's not even affecting the whole block. It's not, there was nothing that was received that said that it was affecting other areas of the neighborhood. It was just one, it seemed like it was one resident on Rathton Road that started parking some vehicles on Creston Road, and it was only affecting that one end of Creston Road. That was essentially what this was trying to address. And because of the lack of resident support, and they even said, like, if it's done this way, we don't even think the people that signed the petition are going to want this. So that was the overriding sense of the residents are not going to be in favor of this, knowing that this is how it's set up. It didn't seem like it was going to address the issue, so we recommended that it be denied.
Thank you very much. Mr. Rudolph, did you have anything to say?
I had actually drove this area 4 times, a couple times at 5 a.m. before work here, and a couple times after work, 9:30 at night, and would never see a major problem with parking. Most of the places have off-street parking, So you would get, one or two vehicles, but it didn't look like it was going to be an actual problem. So I don't know what the parking issue is that they're seeing, but it's no different than any other city street right now.
One other thing that I just thought of, one of the reasons that it would be an overall negative if we actually went forward with this is that because because it seems like there's a lack of an overall issue affecting the whole area. If this were to get passed, it would involve issuing parking passes for everybody that's in the affected area. There would be a fee, so residents that would be otherwise not paying to park in front of their house would now be paying to park in front of their house to resolve a non-issue. And we don't want to do that to residents in this area.
Thank you. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to provide public testimony? Any council comment? Hearing none, council will vote on this recommendation during tonight's legislative meeting. There being no further comment, this public hearing is hereby adjourned. And we will move on to our public comment session on non-agenda items only. We will call our public comment session to order at 6:07 p.m. Is there any public comment on non-agenda items only? Yes, sir. Come on up.
So good to be back. And I'd like to explain my getup. This is the official cap of the York City Zoning Hearing Board. No, I know you know better than that. Actually, I'm wearing it because I had 2 cataract surgeries in the past month, and I'm able to see a lot better. But I was a little bit afraid these lights would be too much, and this helps. I've always tried, in the 20-some years I've been coming here and participating, to never bring up anything that wasn't within your purview to deal with. And I've always tried to not only suggest a problem, but suggest a possible solution. I want to break with that just to say a word or two, not to any of the young folks in this room, almost everyone, but to anybody my age or close to it who might be watching on TV. If you're over 20 or 30 years old, if you have medical insurance, have an eye checkup. Have an eye checkup. I hope they will find nothing wrong, but I'm dealing not only with, was dealing with cataracts, but also with glaucoma. You won't know if you're developing glaucoma until you start to lose your vision. And there is treatment that is helpful if you start on time. So, and the cataract surgery, my friends who told me it was a breeze, easiest thing you'll ever have to undergo, they were right. They were right. The folks up at UPMC Leader Surgical Center were wonderful. I almost was sorry I didn't have a third eye to go back for, but that would have made me a laughing stock, wouldn't it? Thank you for letting me make that sort of personal. The thing about city business is I have it on reliable authority, Madam President, that items that may be approved for a consent agenda, I may have a question or comment about one of them. I'd be happy to make it at the outset, and if no one else wants to pull the item, then it's fine. But I would like to have the right to make a comment.
Yes, you
At that
can,
time.
yes, we entertain and we welcome, and we have to address public comment. So yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other public comment on non-agenda items only? Hearing none, we will adjourn our public comment session, and I will call our legislative meeting to order at 6:11 p.m. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Dennis.
Here.
Buckingham.
Here.
Rivera.
Here.
Washington.
Here.
Walker.
Here. And if you are able to, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence.
Aye.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. We will now take action on previous meeting minutes from September 5th, 2023. Council, any changes need to be made to those minutes?
I have none.
Hearing none, all in favor of approving, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those meeting minutes are approved. No presentations, awards, or announcements. Upcoming meetings. We are back to our committee meetings. Committee will be held on Wednesday, September 27, 2023 at 6 p.m. in council chambers. Agenda items are due by 12 noon on September 20th. Our next legislative meeting will be held on Tuesday, October 3rd, 2023 at 6 p.m. in council chambers. Agenda items are due by 12 noon on September 27th. No prior committee reports, so we will move on to our legislative agenda. Up first, final passage of Bill number 48.
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
And that's Bill number 48, which was introduced by Queen of Washington at the September 5th meeting of council. Is an ordinance appropriating revenue and expenditures for CDBG home grant funding reflecting changes due to the Queen Street project and budget edits with reconciliation, excuse me, with the HUD system.
It has been moved and seconded. I do believe we have representation that might be able to talk a bit about this project. Mr. Miller?
Evening, Council.
Good evening.
I am part of the organization known as Affordable Housing Advocates. The project that we are slated to produce is much needed in that section of Queen Street. It is directly across the street from Hess Gas Station, 254, 256 South Queen Street. And so AHA, as the acronym stands for Affordable Housing Advocates, is looking to build a 3-bedroom, 1.5 bathroom, single-family home for sale with a garage. Again, new build, new construction. The area of Queen Street is going through a small renaissance. And so we think that this will be a catalyst in order to push the project forward. But more importantly, it's on a main thoroughfare. And so again, it only brings more exposure to the city of York. So we appreciate council's decision to move forward with the funding. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask away.
Is that corner property, Richard?
It is the corner lot.
That was just demolished not, what, maybe a few years ago? Yeah, I'm on. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Any questions or comments from council?
Again, thank you, guys.
Any questions or comments from the public? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Dennis.
Yes.
Buckingham.
Yes.
Rivera.
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes. And that is so ordered. Moving on to final passage of Bill number 49.
Move to approve.
Second.
That is Bill number 49, which was introduced by Lou Rivera at this September 5th meeting of council. It's an ordinance appropriating revenue and expenditures for the immunization and vaccines grant in the amount of $50,000.
Yes. Ms. Kruger, did you have anything you wanted to say?
Pretty self-explanatory. These are funds that were allocated to us, subsequent additional funding beyond what our regular grant provided for us. So when we have funds that come in, we have to present them to you all so that we can add them into our budget.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from council?
No.
Any questions or comments from the public? Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
And that was introduced by Washington. Sorry about that. Thank you, Betsy.
Can't take it back.
Dennis,
Yes.
Buckingham,
Yes.
Rivera,
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes. And that is so ordered. Moving on to final passage of Bill number 50. I move to approve.
Second.
And that was, that's Bill number 50, which was introduced by Sandy Walker at the September 5th meeting of council, appropriating expenditures and revenue from the American Rescue Plan Act funds for a nonprofit recovery program for impacted 501c3 and 501c19 entities located within or provide services within the city of York in the amount of $1,030,000.
Ms. Robertson, did you have anything to say in regards to this item?
No, I just wanted to point out that this program in general, this project had been introduced by various people within city government and is in full support of the mayor and his administration and council. And I know we've been working with Nona Watson and her group in Department of Economic and Community Development, along with Answer Advisories, who's our consultants for our ARPA funds, to make sure that they have us all lined up in terms of exactly how this program meets the requirements of the ARPA categories in order to, excuse me, school's calling, to get it to meet the requirement for essentially the nonprofits needing additional help as a result of COVID. But also the plan is in place in order to make sure that we can roll out this grant program, get the word out, get the applications in, get them reviewed, have the committee review them, and start awarding grants. Because we do all know that we have deadlines approaching in terms of making sure that we have our ARPA funds allocated by the end of next year. So all those steps are in place, and we've all been working together to make sure that we meet those goals.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from council? Any questions or comments from the public? Yes.
Good evening, everybody.
Good meeting.
Manuel Gomez, of course, resident City of York. I like the project. It's about as good a project as any other when it comes to the disbursement of ARPA funding, but what I'm wondering is why aren't there any outcome-based goals? Is that something that's forthcoming? Or is this mostly just get the money out? We're on an accelerated timeline, and that's because I was going to say it's mostly focused on disbursement. It's actually all disbursement. If you look at the answer template, I don't really see anything in there. The KPIs, if you sort of use some of the other answer template and project statements and descriptions that we've seen before council already, they were a lot more thorough, a lot more exhaustive. Where the answer template calls for minimum of 3 KPIs, we have 1. It says the number of nonprofits served. In other words, the only fair interpretation could be, we'll give out a lot of money to a lot of organizations. Would it be a success if that's the metric? Sure. Is it the best practice? I'm not so sure. So I'm wondering why it just appears to be almost preliminary to me. And like it's just something that is going to occur to get the money out. I can see the disbursement. It jumps out at you right off the page. What about measuring, monitoring criteria and any outcome-based goals? Is there anything like that that is just not included in this template that perhaps may be forthcoming in terms of criteria, selection, B selection, anything like that? Those are the types of things that I was expecting, particularly with Answer being involved. We got to get something for that money. Those contractual fees should be above and beyond what we can cook up ourselves, at least one would think. I don't have any particular problem with the project. It's just the project statement, the description, and what I see in terms of the process itself, at least from this vantage point, at this point in time.
Thank you. Ms. Robertson, you can expound more on this, but one, with the timing, we need to get the funding allocated, but working with Answer, our goal is to make sure that administration is recommending what will be the best projects in regards to the administrative work that Answer is conducting. But when it comes to overall effectiveness, we're going to rely on administration to recommend the projects that would be the best after they fit eligibility. So to answer your question, there isn't anything in here with outcome-based in regards to the project descriptions, but it's not going to be an approach of just hurry up, rush, and distribute money to nonprofits.
And I could just add something, is all the projects that are submitted will be reviewed to verify that each one qualifies, meets the eligibility and qualifications, and all, which means they can verify that they had income loss during the COVID project. So there's a lot of layers to the reviewing of the applications themselves for the projects. That, you're right, that's not clear here, but I defer to Ms. Robertson, but I think it will be more thorough than it's indicated.
Yes, and I think the most important part of this, and I agree, we only have one KPI out of 3, but as part of the goals and objectives, saying that the goal of this financial support is to make these nonprofits to be able to continue providing their services and support the communities in which they are located within the city of York. So that is the overall goal, is being able to support these community organizations so that they can continue doing the services that they are doing currently. But there are, as they said, Answer has given us all kinds of additional planned setup in the background in terms of the rollout of the grant, the application itself, the criteria for scoring and priority, essentially. Because we're not sure quite yet in terms of what kind of turnout we'll have application-wise. We're always looking to get as many as we possibly can, but some of the steps in terms of awarding will kind of be determined on if we end up with more than $1 million worth of request or not. We have $1 million request and they meet all the criteria in order for them to qualify as a beneficiary of the ARPA funds for this purpose, then they'll be awarded it.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the public? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Dennis?
Yes.
Buckingham?
Yes.
Rivera?
Yes.
Washington?
Yes.
Walker?
Yes. And that is so ordered. Moving on to final passage of resolution number 84.
Move to approve.
And that is final passage of resolution number 84, which was introduced by Queen of Washington at the September 5th meeting of council. And that is establishing fees in accordance with Articles 17, 13 floodplain management.
This has been in the making for quite some time. Is there anyone from ECCD that would like to comment?
I can comment on that. I worked with Nancy Griffin, the city planner, and also Letice. What's Letice's last name? Letice Brown, which is is she with MIP still?
She's our MS4 coordinator.
Okay. And so they contacted me and said that they were doing some things online to become in compliance, and they realized that we didn't have fees established, or at least I couldn't find fees established for floodplain management. So what I did was I did some research, and we came up with some comparable fees that are pretty much in line with other municipalities, and so we tried to cover as much as we could see that would require a fee within the ordinance, and this is what we came up with.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from council?
None.
No.
Any questions or comments from the public? Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Dennis,
Yes.
Buckingham,
Yes.
Rivera,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Walker.
Yes. That is so ordered. Moving on to final passage of resolution number 85. Is there a motion to remove resolution number 85 from the table?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That is removed from the table. And so now we will need a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, do you want me to go ahead and explain? how to do this? Okay, so, at the last council meeting, the applicant came to council and they, wanted to install vinyl windows in the historic district, but in the front of the house. Harb approved installing the windows in the back of the house, but not the front of the house, and in accordance with the Secretary of Interior's guideline. So council requested to table the ordinance. The applicant came with the contractor and showed us these beautiful windows and what they would look like. So council took some of them, I don't know about all of them, took a tour of the house, and they wanted to make their decision on whether or not they should accept the recommendations of Harb to deny the vinyl windows installation or to authorize the window installation. So with that said, is there a motion to approve the Harb recommendations to amend it to authorize installation of the vinyl windows in the front?
So moved.
Second.
Is there a second to
Second.
approve? Okay, all in favor of authorizing installation, this is to authorize the original recommendations of Harb with the exception of denying the vinyl windows in the front. And this amendment is to approve the vinyl windows in the front. Okay, so we have a second, we had a motion and a second to approve the vinyl windows. Did we get a second?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Not yet, not yet. Hold on.
It's complicated.
All in favor of the amendment? Say yes.
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 Opposed, no.
Hold on.
Up.
No, you're good. I'm telling them the whole.
Oh, okay, okay.
I don't want you to get too excited. Quite yet.
Jumping up there.
Close.
All right, and at this point, I'll turn it over to the council president.
Bureaucracy at its best. Right?
Any questions or comments from council?
None.
Any questions or comments from the public? Yes.
That I hope to see a positive outcome for the homeowners. I would be very, very happy. And don't ever say I can't keep it short and sweet.
Thank you.
What's your name again?
I sense a good outcome here, possibly. But I still would like to offer a couple of comments because I listened to the HARB meeting 2 or 3 times. Their sound is not real great. That's why I listened the second and third time. A couple of things were said that troubled me just a little bit. I should say perhaps that I cannot for the life of me understand why a previous council and administration wanted to put the 200 block of South Pine Street in HARB. I can only hope that they did so because they thought that would encourage people to fix up their homes and do it the very best possible way. That would be kind of like recommending a diet of 3 or 4 Boston cream pies a day to lose weight, unless it was accompanied by a city program to help homeowners pay the difference between the HARB recommendation and an equally acceptable plan that the homeowners and their contractor came up with. I think that was discussed some years ago, and nothing came of it. But this issue is quite possibly going to come to you again. I know you all understand, I think the public should understand that HARB doesn't have the final say. You do. And it's kind of analogous to the zoning process, where the zoning officer's job is to inform people exactly what the zoning ordinance allows or doesn't. They are then free to apply for special exception or variances to do what they would like to do in spite of the ordinance. It's then discussed by the Planning Commission, who recommends to the Zoning Hearing Board to approve or deny. And this process with HARB is similar. You have the final say. One thing that troubled me a little bit was that one of the HARB members, and they were all very nice to the applicants, but one of them said that if you walk down up Pine Street to Market, you'll pass by some beautiful homes, I guess in the 100 block, that people have invested. Now, I believe the HARB member said had invested hundreds of thousands of dollars in, or he may have said thousands of dollars. Certainly, there are some beautiful homes in the 100 block. I, at one time, owned 2 of them. And I struggled to bring the properties up to code and even beyond, and reduce the number of apartments, and keep the rents low. I bailed out before bankrupting myself because those things don't quite work well together. And a year or so later, a year or 2 later, I walked by the property in the 100 block, and there was a sign out front, major redevelopment project, supported by, and it listed just about every agency or department of the city, the county, the state, and the federal government. And I thought, well, no wonder I struggled. I could have perhaps succeeded if I had had some help. But the people in the 200 block just don't have those pocketbooks. And the other thing that was said by the HARB member was that they are not allowed, they are not able to consider economics. And I understand that. I guess that's the case. But they pointed out to the applicants that you are able to consider that. And this has nothing to do with the fact that I met the applicants on Saturday morning. They are so impressive. I can't tell you. I think I may have made 2 new friends. I hope so. And I understand that some of you also had the same pleasure. If I lived next door or across the street, and I sometimes try to approach a zoning case that way, what if I lived next door or across the street? I'd say approve their windows without reservation. I really would. I've taken too much of your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Hearing none, this is a vote on the amended motion. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Dennis?
Yes.
Buckingham?
Yes.
Rivera?
Yes.
Washington?
Yes.
Walker?
Yes. That is so ordered.
Now you can celebrate.
Moving on to introduction of bills and resolutions, starting with an introduction of an amendment to the 2023 budget.
So introduced.
That's Bill number 51, which was introduced by Queen of Washington, amending the 2023 budget in the amount of $613,209 for money not otherwise appropriated for Fund 50 for purchase of new fire apparatus.
Introduction, so it will sit until our next legislative meeting. Up next, resolution number 52.
So introduced.
That'd be resolution number 90, actually.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. Resolution number 90, introduced by Aquina Washington, and it is a resolution establishing or amending fees for Article 1761 of the codified ordinances, and they weren't amended since April of 2012, so they're just updating those fees.
Thank you. That will sit until our next legislative meeting. Up next, resolution number 91. Right?
Good.
Okay.
So introduced.
And that is resolution number 91, introduced by Aquina Washington. Again, this is establishing fees in accordance with Article 1730 of the codified ordinances. And they have not been amended since October of 2015.
And that will sit until our October 3rd meeting. Moving on to resolution considering the recommendation of the Traffic Safety Committee.
So introduced.
Second.
Whoops, hold on one second, Aquina. All right, and this will be resolution number 92, introduced by Betsy Buckingham, and it's a resolution authorizing or accepting the recommendations of the Traffic Safety Committee in denying the request or approving the request. So I would ask council, is there a motion to accept the recommendations of the Traffic Safety Committee in denying the request for an RPPA?
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, so that would be that City Council has made a recommendation to accept the Traffic Safety Committee's recommendations to deny the request for an RPPA. I'll take the vote on the resolution to deny it. Buckingham, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry, you wanted to
Discussion?
have discussion. I'm sorry.
I know we are.
I'm just trying to get out.
Any questions or comments from council?
No.
No.
Any questions or comments from the public? Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Okay. And that is Dennis,
Yes.
Buckingham,
Yes.
Rivera,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Walker.
Yes. And that is so ordered. Moving on to new business. There are 4 items that I'm going to need to pull.
Let's do this.
Oh, goodness, I'm looking at my old, sorry. And you gave me the new. I apologize.
Okay.
So this would be our supplemental agenda. Is there a motion to waive Rule 215 and include as part of the consent agenda? Well, I guess it's not going to be part of the consent agenda. Is there a motion to waive Rule 215?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And this will be resolution number 93?
3.
Okay.
And that is introduced by Betsy.
So introduced.
And that's resolution number 93, introduced by Betsy Buckingham, authorizing the mayor to sign a York wayfinding signing agreement on behalf of the city of York.
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments from council?
None.
Any questions or comments from the public? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Dennis,
Yes.
Buckingham,
Yes.
Rivera,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Walker.
Yes. That is so ordered. Now moving on to items for consideration for the consent agenda. There are 4 items that are going to be pulled. So is there a motion to proceed with the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, council, please review items 11 through 18. If there are any that you would like to pull, please share them. All right, let me pull up the new one. Okay, I'm requesting to pull item 11. The Controller's Office has requested to pull item 12. I am requesting to pull item 14. And I'm requesting to pull item 18. Are there any other items that council would like to pull? Hearing none, council, please review items 13, 15, 16, and 17. And can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments from council for items 13, 15, 16, and 17? Any questions from the public for items 13, 15, 16, and 17? Hearing none. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll for items 13, 15, 16, and 17?
Okay. Dennis,
Yes.
Buckingham,
Yes.
Rivera,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Walker.
Yes. Those items are approved. First, we have item 11.
Main event.
So introduced.
And that's resolution, I believe, number 94, if I have my numbers correct.
Okay. Resolution number 94, and that was introduced by Betsy Buckingham, and that is a resolution appointing Kimberly Robertson as the business administrator.
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments from council? I'm just going to read a comment just to make sure that the public knows. Council is in receipt of more than several letters of support for Kim's appointment as business administrator. And we appreciate the time each of you have taken to express your support. I would like to open the floor for additional comments when it comes to public comment, but for the sake of time and to reduce redundancy, I would like to open the floor to those who did not send us letters. Just to be respectful of time, we're asking that you keep your comments to 3 minutes for those who have public comment. We did receive updated packets, letters of support from Mrs. Robertson. So thank you for copying those for us.
Yes.
Council, any questions or comments?
I have none.
I'll say that over the, I don't even know, 2-3 years, it was a bit rocky, just given COVID, adjusting, filling multiple roles. But especially last year with Complement being at pretty much full capacity with business administration, slowly getting there, audits, et cetera. But it helps that be able to have folks in the positions to help lighten the load. So thank you for filling the gap in the acting role for quite some time. In addition to, we still don't have a human resources director either. So that's something that, the city needs to really take into consideration. But thank you for working through and filling in the gaps and answering any questions that we might have as council. And also balancing the communication between administration and the legislative branch. Any other questions or comments from council?
Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
Any other questions or comments from the public? Yes, sir.
Once again, Manuel Gomez, I want to echo you guys' statements and thank the acting director for mostly serving in that liaison capacity between the legislative and the administrative sides. For everything that we do here, I do appreciate that. It helps a ton for anybody that's involved and tries to have some sort of impact on what it is that we do. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Yes, sir.
I think you noticed, you may have disappointed a few people. They came with all their exhibits and this and that, and they weren't needed. I don't know if we could do it that way at the zoning hearing board or not. Might be worth a try. I don't know what to add. I'm sure that the letters you got, and I agree with Manuel. I mean, if you want drama, if you want obfuscation, obviously Kim is the wrong choice. But if you want quiet, serious handling of the city's business, I don't think you could find better. I really don't. May I ask, I know I'm to address council, but may I ask the nominee, if you are approved, is there a possibility you might bring your young assistant once in a while?
Most definitely, yes.
I
Yes.
think he is so cool. One other question. On the way home, has he ever asked you anything like, what is a budget transfer and why are so many of them needed?
very close when I told them what was happening today. My oldest immediately said that, well, you need 3 out of 5 votes, right? And I was yes, yes, I do.
Okay.
So I was impressed. I don't recall discussing that with him before. So yes, he's learning.
Oh, he's learning.
Well, this is almost a joyous occasion, and why shouldn't we have one once in a while? Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Dennis,
Yes.
Buckingham.
Yes.
Rivera,
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes. And that is so ordered. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Diane? Is there anything you would like to say?
I'd like to just thank everybody for their support. I've been very humbled. I just put out a simple request of, hey, guess what? It's finally on the agenda. And everyone kind of outpoured with their support and was very willing to take time out of their day to send Diane an email and to counsel. And I greatly appreciate that. It's always nice to know that you're appreciated, especially by the folks that I feel that I've worked really hard to help support, and that's what I'm here to do. So one way or the other, we're a family, if we like it or not, in terms of what we're doing here and what we're doing for the community. So I appreciate everybody's love and support. So thank you. I look forward to rolling on and keep moving up. So thank you.
Congratulations again.
And you didn't throw up.
I didn't. I'm close, but it's okay.
Very good.
And item. All right, item 11 was requested to be pulled by the Controller's Office. I don't think we have anything else to add to that, or,
Number 12 now.
I'm sorry, I'm so used to my,
We're not going to vote on it, is that correct?
That's
We're not
correct.
voting on
no
that.
voting on it.
That's removed from the agenda.
Right.
Okay.
Electronic coming soon, you guys, electronic coming soon. Okay, so, I don't know what number it is.
95, it'd
but-
be now agenda item 13 on the new agenda. On the amended one.
For
That
for
was-
Be the
WellSpan.
land
It was on the
development
consent, though.
environment.
Well, that was a part of the consent agenda.
Oh, it was?
Yes.
That's right.
So it's 14.
Okay, I need to pull the WellSpan. All right. Resolution approving preliminary final subdivisions and land development for WellSpan.
That was wasn't that this? Oh, no, that's right. That wasn't the, go ahead. Don't mind me.
And that just needs to be introduced.
So introduced.
And that is resolution number 96, introduced by Equina Washington, approving the preliminary final subdivision and land development plan submitted by WellSpan York Hospital Surgical and Critical Care Tower, located at 1001 South George Street, to combine parcels and construct a new tower in place of the Ketterman Building.
I move to approve.
Move to approve.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. I'll just need to abstain. Any questions or comments from council?
I don't have any.
No.
Any questions or comments from the public? Madam Clerk, may you please call the roll?
We have to approve the abstention, so Walker requested abstention. And the reason for abstention?
I serve on the WellSpan Central Region Board.
All in favor of authorizing the abstention?
Aye.
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 Opposed, no. Okay.
All right, thank you for approving my abstention. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Dennis,
Yes.
Buckingham.
Yes.
Rivera,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Walker.
Abstain. And that is so approved. And the last item is a resolution authorizing an agreement with the York City School District. And that just needs to be introduced.
So introduced.
And that is introduced by, that's resolution number 100, introduced by Edquina Washington, It is authorizing an agreement with the York City School District for a part-time school resource officer for the period of July 2023 through July 2024 in the amount of $75,000.
Move to approve.
Is there a second? It has been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments from council?
I have none.
My only comment is, we'll both need to abstain.
Right, because I'm an employee, yes.
And the reason for abstention?
Employment, York City School District.
Both of us, yeah.
Okay. All in favor of authorizing the abstention?
Aye.
Aye.
No. People who want no say no. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm just. Okay.
It's going
Thank
to hell
you.
in a handbasket.
Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Dennis,
Abstain.
Buckingham,
Yes.
Rivera,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Walker.
Abstain. That is so ordered. Moving on to council comment. Any comment from council?
I do have a comment. I just wanted to comment, Mr. Green, our Public Works Director, and his team. I had the chance to, well, just driving around the city, looking at a few of our parks, and they have installed a few of the new pavilions in the park, and they look absolutely phenomenal. And I'm positive that the families and community that join there will appreciate them. Looks like some pretty durable material that will last throughout many years, but they look absolutely beautiful, and I had complimented him on that, so I just wanted to compliment him publicly.
What was it?
They have some pavilions in several of the parks, and he shared that they will continue to put them in all of the parks here in the city of York. They're absolutely beautiful. A tremendous upgrade to our parks here in the city of York, so thank you.
Thank you. Any other council comment?
None.
Other than, thank you to our officer in the back, covering downtown area again.
Thank you, thank you.
Administration comment?
I'm good. Thank you very much, everyone.
That adjourns our meeting for tonight. Everyone have a wonderful evening.
Yay.